Ladies and gentlemen, I am excited to welcome you to the first ever edition of Christie Corner. I'm really excited to have this show, to be able to bring on different guys and girls that I view as a game changer, to learn about their experience and a little bit more about their story. I'm very concerned with self-growth. I think this is a great time to learn about growth and try to pursue growth at this point in my 20s, and I think this is going to be a great way to do it from these conversations. I'm really fortunate to have on my first guest from Patrick Henry, Lincoln Creager. Lincoln, an unbelievable run that you just had the last few weeks for your football team, leading your team to a Final Four after being the backup to start the year. And you had one of the best high school football performances I've personally seen. I got to see it live against Macomb in the regional final, where you had 5 passing touchdowns, which is a school record, 1 rushing touchdowns, threw for about 300 yards, and you led your team to a 5-2 victory going into the Final Four. I want to go back to that first game and talk a little bit about your mindset and how you felt in the locker room before the game. When you're on the field going through warm-ups, what was going through your head?
Yeah, so back to the first game, we were 6-0 at the time, about ready to compete for a league championship against undefeated Liberty Center, who is in the state finals this coming week, actually. I was extremely nervous going in. I didn't really feel prepared, honestly, because our quarterback had actually played the week before. Mm-hmm. So I didn't necessarily feel prepared. I went out there, and honestly, I thought we were going to do pretty good. We ended up losing 62-0, so that wasn't the greatest, but...
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's got to be a humbling experience. Now, I want to fast forward a couple weeks to that Macomb game, right? You've had a couple games to kind of get more comfortable, kind of feel like what it feels like to be back under center. What are you feeling going into that game? It's a regional final. Macomb's got a great team. You had just played pretty much the entire game, both sides of the ball the week before. What are you feeling going into that Macomb game? Like I said, in the locker room, out in the field before.
Yeah, we were just excited. I mean, a childhood dream. We wanted to go to state, and I mean, that's all we could think about. And I think our coach prepared us. We worked really hard the week leading up to the game. And we were just excited to go out there and play. I don't think we were really worried about the opponent we were facing. We just knew if we played our game, we could come out with a victory.
Yeah, I want to go back to I think it was a pivotal moment in that game, and it's not necessarily a good moment, but early in the first half, you threw a pick 6 on one of your first passing attempts. I know how you approached the game. I know you were pretty unhappy after that because you just want to ultimately perform for your team. That was early on in the game. It gave them their first points of the game and kind of took the lid off for them in a way. You go back to the sideline there. What are you thinking about, and what are you doing to kind of get that outside of your head?
Yeah, honestly, right at the start, I had negative thoughts, kind of like I feel like everybody has right when something, adversity hits them. And then I kind of just got into my head, and I was saying, you got to go out there, you got to go to the next play, you got to keep leading your team, you got to be a positive influence for them to look forward to, especially at quarterback.
Yeah.
And I really feel like I got that defensive possession off, and I kind of got myself right mentally to go back the next possession and go out and score.
So what are you doing to get yourself right mentally? Are you like strictly focusing on breathing? Are you trying to talk to your teammates, talk to your coaches? When you say get right mentally, what are you doing to actually get in that headspace?
Yeah, I try to get out of my own head really a lot. I try to be positive with my teammates, give a lot of high fives is a thing that I like to do a lot.
I think that's a great way to do it, to kind of put yourself to stop focusing on yourself, right? When people make mistakes, I think the first thing they tend to do is think about them. And to me, that's a little bit of a selfish mindset, right? So that's something that I think is great, that I always used to try to do, is just focus everything on my teammates. And I think I saw you doing that. And the reason I think it was a pivotal moment in that game was because not only did you go throw that pick 6, right? But the very next time that you guys went out, you put together a great possession and a great drive, and I think you guys went and got points there. I think that was kind of when I knew he's going to be all right. You know, I haven't seen you play quarterback. I was like, oh man, pick 6, that was the first points of the game. You come right back out there and lead your team on a drive. And that was really impressive to see. One thing that I do think that you do a great job on, and I think it's probably the reason that you guys ended up going deep and having the success that you did, is your leadership. What are some different ways that you try to be a leader for your team, whether it's basketball or football? How do you lead?
Yeah, I've always been told that I'm not a very good vocal leader. I don't speak up a lot. I'm more of a lead by example type of guy. But I've been working on my vocal leadership. But I feel like really working hard in practice is honestly a form of leadership. It kind of sets the bar for other people to look at and be like, well, this guy's working really hard, then I need to work hard.
Right.
I also feel like I mentioned earlier, high fives a lot, high-fiving your teammates. I feel like that really brings the morale of the team up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, just to take it, and I want to just keep focusing on this game because I was here and I got to see some of this. One of the best displays of leadership that I think I saw that day was one of your players went and got a personal foul after a play had happened, and it was kind of a big moment in the game because you guys were experiencing some adversity. They were scoring some points, starting to come back a little bit. He gets a personal foul and comes to the sideline, and the first guy that was there was you on his shoulder. What are you talking to a guy, saying to him to help him move on to the next play, to get rid of that frustration and stay focused for the rest of the game?
Yeah, I was just kind of telling him just to go back out there and just focus on the next play, try to move the next play, be positive, because I didn't want him to have regrets on looking back and just saying, if I would have gotten out of my own head, we could have went to state. I mean, it was just kind of one of those games where we'd worked the whole season to get that point, and you just don't want something little to mess that up.
Yeah, I think that's great. Just kind of like we talked about, getting in that, realizing that you're a part of something bigger than just yourself at that moment. One thing that I really appreciate about you is your work ethic. And, I think I try to count it in my head on my way here of how many times we've been able to put work in and work on our craft together. And I think it's got to be between 50 and 100 at this point. And I feel like every single time we've been on the court or in the weight room, wherever we've been, every rep, everything has been extremely focused on you. And I think you do a great job if you think about our workouts. When we're doing shooting games or we're challenging, our athleticism, you're almost getting into that flow state, right? Where you're getting into that zone mentally where you're just flowing and everything is clicking, you feel great, you're locked in. Do you feel like that has a positive impact when you get into a situation like when you were in that regional final game where things are happening, it's chaotic, it's adversity, but you're just mentally calm and flowing? Were you in that flow state during that game?
Yeah, I was, and I feel like some people say practice makes perfect almost, or if you practice hard, games don't seem hard, and I really believe in that. If you take every rep and practice hard and you prepare for the worst possible situation, when you get out there, you're just playing a game at the end of the day, and you just want to have fun, and it kind of gets you in a state, like you said, a flow state where you just feel like everything is going right. But even when adversity hits, you can kind of
weather the storm.
Yeah, weather the storm, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing I always knew when I was in the flow state, because I'd catch myself and it'd be the smallest things to know that I was really locked in, but I'd catch myself and I'd be walking faster, right? If you ever watch those moments when Kobe or LeBron are putting up crazy games and they're in the playoffs, or it's a really big moment, you see them in times when it's not in the game, whether it's walking to a timeout, walking out of a timeout, they've got a little bit of a different stride to them. Is there anything that you feel like happens to you when you're in that flow state where you're clicking?
I don't know. I would say
maybe it feels like you have unlimited energy, or you can just get smoked, get knocked down in the game, and you just pop back up right away.
Yeah, I do actually, when you say that. When I'm kind of in that flow state, I really don't focus on my breathing. I have no, my endurance, it feels really good. Yeah. I don't feel tired a lot.
Right. Yeah, I know that feeling. I think that's kind of that fight or flight, that that instinct that we have in us that, our ancestors had to have when they were, hunting bull and deer and by hands back in the day. I think there's no secret that a lot of your success comes from your work ethic. You're one of the hardest working guys that I've been around. And I just want to highlight a little bit and take some time to actually highlight the work that you've put in, because I don't think people actually realize how much dedication that you've put into your sports or basketball, football, whatever it may be. But we've been going at it for about 3 years now. Our first summer, we had 30 training sessions in 2 months. We used to wake up and go train at 7 a.m. on Saturday mornings, the day after playing in a football game where you started varsity both ways. So you would play the entire game both ways. Saturday morning, wake up before 7 a.m. and then we'd go work out. You get up before school to get shots when you're preparing, even during football season, when you're preparing for the top 64, you're doing extra things to get yourself ready for that basketball showcase. So you're a hard worker, you're a grinder. Where does that work ethic come from? When did you know that you had that? And is that something that you feel like you always had, or was that kind of something that you gained from your parents or coaches that you had been around?
I think you kind of hit it right there. My parents, honestly, when I was younger, like they kind of had to push me to go to the gym. Like when I was younger, 5th, 6th grade maybe, they would have to tell me, go get shots up, go work out. And I feel like that really helped me to want to do it by myself. And I feel like it also comes down to the desire that you have to want to accomplish something. If you set goals and you have a real desire about something, if you love something, I feel like work ethic and hard work kind of just comes with that.
Right. So basically what you're telling me there is being a really good football player or being a really good basketball player, like that's really important for you. Like how important for you? Are you saying that that's like a top priority? That's something that you would maybe even consider yourself to be obsessed with?
Yes, that would probably be, I would probably go faith, sports, school, honestly, and then family's up there too, obviously. Yeah. But I mean, sports is like probably number one occupation. You just got to be obsessed with it if you.
Yeah, I think that's really cool, and I think it's something for other people to take, especially younger kids. And I hope that there is going to be younger kids or younger athletes or anyone that can listen to this and just be reminded of that you're not coming out and putting up these numbers and leading your team to success by accident. Right? Nothing is an accident, and there's been a lot of work that you've put in to get to that point. So I just want to highlight that for you because I am really proud of everything that you accomplished, and the stuff that you have ahead of you is going to be even better. Smooth, how far are we into this? How many minutes?
What is that, like 15?
We're at 15.
I think that's what we're about at.
Okay.
I could be wrong, though.
Great.
But
Great. I kind of got through everything that I really wanted to talk about, but I think it might be good to just touch on some other things. Okay. So let's talk about over the course of, since we really started training, right? And I know the answer to these questions, but I just want you to talk about it. When we've been training, where have you felt like you really needed to grow, and what have you gotten better at? This can be mentally, it can be in your leadership, it can be in your skill. What are some things that you feel like you've really been able to get better at and improve on? This could be athleticism, basketball, football, whatever.
Yeah, I think confidence has been probably number one. Confidence in myself has probably been the number one thing. In terms of basketball, we work on everything. So, I've gotten better at everything, but probably footwork, ball handling, forms of jump shots, finishing around the rim, just all that stuff that we've really worked on. I feel like I've improved the past few years working with you and stuff.
Definitely. I think when you set really specific goals and you have a really clear vision of what you want to get better at, it makes it way easier when you go to work on that. That's something that we felt like we wanted to add that first summer. We wanted to add that ability to shoot the jump shot, to hit that mid-range pull-up, to elevate on your jumper. And we were really specific in the way that we trained for that and then accomplished that. And I think that you can set your mind for that in anything that you have in your life, right? Whether it's you want to get a specific job, you want to get a specific skill, even start to own something or buy something, right? You're like, I want this specific car. I think if you have a specific goal like that where it's very clear and then you start to work towards that vision, you can start to do that. And I think you've done a great job at not only identifying those goals, but then putting in the work to go achieve them. You've been able to play for the Ohio Buckets the last few years. AAU basketball is a great thing. I think it's a great way to meet friends and also improve your game. Talk a little bit about your experience with the Ohio Buckets and how you feel like this team has made a positive impact in your basketball experience.
Yeah, it's a great program, obviously. Great coaches, run by a great head, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
When I was first invited to play with you guys, I was really excited. I've enjoyed my ride the entire time. The guys you meet there and are on the team with you, they're really personable and they're funny dudes. Like they're real people. They're not like just there for the recruitment or anything like that. Like they're there to improve. They're there to have a brotherhood, and I feel like with that, it's just feels like at home.
Definitely. I think that's one thing that I've really appreciated is like even as a coach, the connections and the network that I've been able to build. And I know it has to be the same for you guys, being able to have friends all over the state of Ohio that are kind of like you, that have those same goals in mind, but they're also bigger than just basketball players, like you said, and you want to build that brotherhood. I think that's great. One thing I do want to touch, and I want you to be as honest as possible because we love honest and organic reviews, all right? I don't want this to be fluff. I want this to come straight down from you. I want to talk a little bit about your experience training with me, right? I sometimes have problems telling people like why I think my training is so great, right? Selling myself. And I want to hear about your experience. And again, I want it to be honest. I want to know like what you first thought. A lot of the stuff that we do is kind of weird sometimes. It's maybe not the most conventional way, but I just want to hear about your experience training with me and what you've gained, maybe what you felt going through that.
Yeah, so we've been training for 3 years now, obviously, but the first few times we trained, I remember I was just thinking like what are we doing here, or like the drills, like you said, some of them are kind of weird, and I'd only ever worked out with my dad, and he's a very fundamental, like work on the fundamentals, mic and drill, zigzag, all that stuff. Yeah. And it was like we were doing 180 jump shots or whatever from the three-point line, I remember us doing. And it was kind of like, is this stuff translate to a game, I guess? Mm-hmm. And I guess you could say fast forward, Finley camp. I remember I texted you after the first night, and I was just like, man, everything that we've worked on for the past 3 years, like, every time I touch the ball, I can just see it. I can feel doing something that we worked on, whether it was 2-foot finishes or elevating on a jump shot or some footwork that we would do in drills or speed or agility or anything like that. I could just feel it like in my game. Every time I would do something, I'd be like, well, we worked on this and that's what helped me to do this. Yeah. And I really believe that since I've been training with you, not only has my basketball skills grown and mentally I've grown, but like in other sports, like my athleticism just in general has grown. I feel like training with you honestly has helped me this year during football when we made that run, just like having a burst of speed to break away from guys or making a move or just anything like that. The strength that I had and the stuff that we did has just helped me in like all forms of life.
Yeah. No, it's great to hear. Kind of gives me the chills a little bit, even though I already know those things. We talk about it all the time. I think that is always the main idea, and I think a lot of people get lost in that, and they're thinking that maybe the best way to become a basketball player is only work on shooting or only work on things that you might see in basketball. And we really try to have, an approach that promotes overall athleticism. At the end of the day, you're an athlete on the court, and I think that definitely shows in the way that you play, the way that you go out and carry yourself in the court. This has been great. I have one more thing that I want to do that's a little bit of an activity here. All right, so you've got your piece of paper, you've got your pen there. Probably been wondering what we're going to do with this. But what I want you to do, and I think this is a great way for you to do this, for myself, for athletes, for businessmen, on how to create goals and then making a plan to attain those goals. Too many times people pick really broad goals and they say, oh, I want to be a college basketball player, right? And that's the only thing that they think about when it comes to being a college basketball player, even though there's a million different steps that they need to do to get to that point. So what I want you to do, you don't have to tell me, you're going to write it down on that piece of paper. The first thing, your main goal for the next 2 years of your high school career, what are you working for? Where do you want to be after high school? So that's the goal that you're going to write down. Take your time. Again, we can edit all of this stuff out with the help of trusty Smooth Wave, the best in the game to do it.
You got it.
All right. So should I just start? You said after high school?
Yeah, like what? Yeah, do you want to play college basketball? Is that a main goal, or whatever it is?
I'll just put. Well, seems to be your pen doesn't work. So
yeah, this one's better. G2 Pilot, one of the best in the game. Sponsor me, G2 Pilot.
This episode brought to you by G2 Pilot.
All right, I'm going to put one general goal.
Great.
And then I'm going to put ones under it.
And we're going to add more to this as well. So once you get your main goal, we can build off of that. Feel like you got it? Are you good with Are you good with sharing your goals? This is something I don't really like doing, but for the purpose of, remember, this is just a conversation between me. Are you good with sharing these goals?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and read that first one or share it with me.
Okay, so I have college sports in general, college basketball or college football right now.
Yeah, okay, great. That's literally all we need for this, right? And you can have different types of goals too. It can be team goals, individual season goals, right? You can have goals for different areas. But this is our main overarching goal, is that you want to be a college athlete. Great. So for you to be a college basketball player or college football player, there's things that you need to get better at to accomplish that goal, right? So what I want you to do is find 3 things now that are the major 3 things that you need to improve on to accomplish your goal of being a college athlete. Great? Let's go. Go ahead and just write maybe 1, 2, 3. You could just number them there. So it's important to have a clear goal, a clear overarching goal, and then have objectives that are going to help you accomplish this goal. And the next step is then having a strategy to accomplish your objectives. This is a really easy way, really easy exercise that you can do to help see your goals more clearly. And Smooth Wave, just because you don't have a paper back there, I'm going to make you do this too, all right?
Set goals.
I just live.
Just live, bro.
I need a third one.
Okay, so
I got put in uncountable hours of extra work and work hard every day in practice.
Okay, so this is actually great. This is great because that is what I would say is an unspecified goal, right? So I do appreciate you writing that, but these objectives are like, I need to be able to run a 4.540, right? Or very specific, right? I need to have this vertical. I want to be able to dunk a basketball. I want to be able to bench this much. Or I want to get my legs stronger, right? That's the type of goals that we're looking for. So maybe, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got it.
So I think maybe like a speed goal would be a really good one for you. Like, I don't know what your 40 time is right now, but maybe saying, I think being able to run under a 4.540.
Okay. That's fine. What about dunk? Obviously, we talked about that.
In there? Great. And when it comes to your build right now, do you feel like you want to get a little bit bigger? Do you want to get more cut? Do you want to add weight? Like, what is your weight right now? Are you cool with this playing weight? Do you think you're like what, 6'2", 6'3"?
6'3", 180.
180, right? So I would say
that's the thing. If I want to play football, I'd probably try to get to like 200, 215.
Okay.
But if I play basketball, 180 is like not
Decent.
terrible.
Yeah.
I'd still want to put on like muscle and get like burn fat or whatever.
yeah.
But
So let's say under 3 there. Make like 2 columns. So you're gonna have an F for football, and then a B for basketball, right? I think for football we could put on there, if we decide that's the path that you want to take, 200 is a great goal. And they have to be general. If you write 200 pounds on there, what you mean by that. And I think with basketball, you could say, cut 170, or cut 180, or what did you say you were, 180 right now? Maybe cut 190, right? You can put 10 pounds of good muscle on, but as long as it's cut, Okay, so this is how you do it, right? Now you've got a great plan of attack for how you want to accomplish your goals. You want to be a college athlete. Find 3 things that are really crucial for you to work on, and then have a strategy for those 3 things. So, maybe you could redo this on your own in your free time if you don't feel like it's exactly perfect, right? But I would encourage you to keep this paper around, right? Maybe look at it every so often. Maybe even go to say that wouldn't even be a bad idea to hang it up in your bedroom, right? Put it on your wall. I used to have one next to my bed that I kind of forgot about, but I would see it every day, right? And it would remind me of those goals. So when I was being lazy and I didn't want to do something, I'd be like, man, remember that conversation I had with Ryan? I was talking about how hard I worked and how much I desire that goal of being a college athlete. I better go put that work in. Mm-hmm. Great? Mm-hmm. Awesome. Lincoln, it's a pleasure. I can't wait to see where you go in your life. Our relationship is going to continue way beyond sports, and I'm really excited to see what you guys can do as a team and as individuals this basketball season. It's going to be fun, and we're going to continue to keep putting in that work in. Appreciate you coming out, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Maybe a little handshake? put it there.